Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome back to our weekly meetings in Khalaqah. And we will continue that the indications, inshallah, we will continue for the 11 indications today. And our agenda today is that the questions is mainly why do the unimportant actions and the personal things of unimportant men attract the anger of the universe in this way? Inshallah, our speakers today is the Colin Turner from UK and Nazif Turmaz from the US. Euzu billahi mineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ve kul Rabbi e'udhu bike min hemezati şeyatin ve e'udhu bike Rabbi en yahzarun. I seek refuge with God from the Satan, the accursed, in the name of the God, the merciful and the compassionate, and say, O my sustainer, I seek refuge with you from the whisperings of the evil ones. And I seek refuge with you, my sustainer, lest they should come near me. Surah Al-Mu'minun, and this is the ayah that we are continuing, inshallah. I'll start again the same route that we are going to follow, and 11 indication I will read, and then I will turn the floors to our speakers to listen to their insights, inshallah. 11th indication, the all-wise Quran states in miraculous fashion that the universe grows angry at the evil of the people of misguidance, and the universal elements becomes wrathful and beings furious. Awesomely, it depicts the storm visited on Noah's people and the assaults of the heavens and the earth, the anger of the element air at the denial of the Ad and Samud peoples, and the fury of the sea and element water at the people of Pharaoh, and the rage of the element earth at Qarun, and in accordance with the verse, almost bursting with fury. This is 67 ayah and then 8. The vehemence and anger of hell at the people of unbelief in the hereafter, and the rage of the other beings at the unbelievers and people of misguidance. In miraculous fashion, it restrains the people of misguidance and rebellion. This is a huge, rich paragraph, but I will continue reading at least the questions and an answer as well, and then I will turn the floor to our speakers. Question: why do unimportant actions and personal things of unimportant men attract the anger of the universe in this way? The answer, as proved in other parts of Risale-i-Nur and in the previous indications, unbelief and misguidance are terrible aggression and crimes that concern all beings. For one of the most important results of the universe's creation is man's worship and his responding to divine lordship with belief and submission. However, due to the denial, which is a part of this belief, the people of unbelief and misguidance reject the supreme result, which is the ultimate reason for the continued existence of beings, and they therefore perpetrate a sort of transgression against the being's rights. Moreover, since they deny the manifestations of the divine names, which are apparent in the mirrors of beings, and exalt their value, they both insult those sacred names and, by degrading the value of all beings, greatly depreciate them. Also, although beings are lordly officials charged with the elevated duties, by their unbelief, the people of misguidance cast them down, and showing them to be lifeless, transitory, meaningless creatures, they in a way violate the rights of all of them. Thus, since the varieties of misguidance impair to a greater or lesser extent the lordly wisdom in the universe's creation and the divine purposes in the world's continued existence, the universe becomes angry at the people of rebellion and misguidance, as do all beings and creatures. O wretched man at the end, whose being is small but guilt great and sin grievous. If you want to be delivered from the wrath of the universe, the rage of beings, and the aversion of the creatures, here is the means. Enter the sacred bounds of the all-wise Quran and follow the practices of God's noble messengers, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was the herald of the Quran. So put yourself within its fold and adhere to the practices. I think this is a rich indication, but I will, inshallah, start with the Qoli Nabi. Qoli Nabi, 11th indication. We would like to hear your insights, inshallah.
Allah. This is a very rich paragraph, as you said. The all-wise Quran tells us that the universe becomes indignant and angry at the phenomenon of misguidance. And of course, these are, in one sense, metaphors. We can't imagine the universe growing angry, but in actual fact, what it means is that in Alam al-Malakut, where these different forces play out, Hezbollah Shaitan, Hezbollah, the divine names, which are complementary, Jamal and Jalal. When the Jamali names and the Jalali names are out of equilibrium, there is a problem. So when human beings reflect the Jamali and the Jalali names in, how can I say, disorganized and disordered manner, when they transgress and when the balance is broken, then we see how things collapse. We see how things break down. We see social problems. We see cosmic problems. We see meteorological problems. When the balance is impacted by human transgression and by human misguidance, then everything becomes disordered. And the universe grows angry in the sense that the balance is destroyed. Because we are supposed to be people of balance and people of surrender. Ahl Sirat al Mustaqim, Fastaqim kama umert. Go forward on the straight path as you were ordered. Don't deviate. Don't go to left and right. Don't go to Efrat and Tafrit. All of the divine names which are reflected on us, we are supposed to consciously manifest, consciously reflect back. And when we do it in a very disordered way, then chaos occurs, apparent chaos. So then you have wars, you have human-mediated famines, you have transgression, you have oppression, you have genocide, and then we get the punishments. The universe, Allah is Halim, Allah is Sabur. But after some time, the equilibrium is damaged to such an extent that divine wrath, ghadab, ghadab ilahi, must actually step in to put things right. So when it talks about the storm visited on Noah's people, okay, at the time of Noah, this was a physical storm with rain and floods and all of this. But this storm is also being visited on us now. The Ad and the Thamud are patterns for us. They are exemplars for us. And the problems that they caused are the same problems that we are causing now. And the same for the people of Pharaoh. The people of Pharaoh still exist today. People like Qarun still exist today. And if you just look at what's happening in the world at the moment, and maybe even the response of, mean, I'm not so sure about global warming, but the response of, we have fires, we have volcanoes, we have earthquakes, we have all of these things. The earth, this is a symbol of the fact that the earth is angry at the misguidance. The angels who are carrying the commands of Allah in creation, they are impeded in their functions by our transgression, and therefore not only do we get chaos and disorder, but we also get retribution. We get divine retribution. You can see it in a single human life. Through our misguidance, for example, we eat too much, We get really fat, we get diabetes, we get lots and lots of different things. And in the end, we punish ourselves, because of disequilibrium, because of disorder, because of transgression and disobedience. And Allah's wrath is visited upon us. We get ill and maybe we even die on account. So if that happens in the course of a single human life, then if you extrapolate from that and multiply it and look at societies which are much more complex, and everyone being interconnected, and then you look at the global society, and then you look at the vast generality of all conscious beings, including humans and jinn, you will see that it's inevitable that transgression will bring these results. That is how the universe works. That is sunnatullah. And we see it in all of the communities in the Quran which were punished for their transgression, and we see it now. We see it today. That's the first thing that came into my mind, anyway.
Great. Thanks so much, Colin Abi. That's great, really. And I'll turn the floor to Nazif Abi. The floor is yours, inshallah.
Thank you. Well, I couldn't agree more. Seriously, I couldn't agree more with Colin Najam and what he said about overall kind of looking at this evil kind of perspective. I think he talked about like at the macro kind of just side of it, and maybe I can comment especially on the micro side. So, and of course, I mean, just I was thinking about like in the same line in the sense that whatever like we do. Actually, sometimes like another thing, yes, I mean, Stud also kind of mentions about like this, yeah, human being is a small, but the guilt and what just in the maybe destruction kind of side of it, it is like so big, like the sin side of it, and because collectively we move, and especially the points that he made about like it's been we have been even very maybe just a young age, we've been. Maybe educated and brought up like with parents and of course with the society to be like a modest, and being a modest like a person is always like following the balance like he mentioned about it, right? So that's just because should stay on the right path and just never to go like just to the extremes, and how beautiful actually education and bring it up like and teaching methodology is just keeping the balance. The reason is and because again and again, so like and as he mentioned about the macro side of it, so what would be the collective moving and joining in to like the points that we read especially last week, that just if you do not respect your surroundings, of course, I mean, of course, just at the beginning. So if you lose your faith and the belief, so then like you start like it's been denying everything, and then you just become a disciple of Satan. Like they mentioned the points that we read, especially the 10th indication, and you become like a student of course, disciple of Satan, and joining these like the forces in there, and collectively start destroying. And of course, some of this and the environment, just all the creatures Allah Almighty created, it's mad at us, of course. So because we don't respect, and then you just completely, of course, and just deny. And even though, like it's been just we have heard, and just like we see in Quran, all these like in the Quran of miraculous exposition continuously warns us, right? So like some about like just the point that you were like once upon a time you were sperm and the water, and all of a sudden look what you were doing, right? So like something just all of a sudden you're denying the your creator, you're denying all the other creatures, and you don't respect and you don't join in to their exaltation and praise. So that's the point that I would like to make. So like in at the macro side, yes, this is what's happening, but in the micro, so is just our foremost job is like to find tranquility, joining in, of course, with the all these like beautiful praises and exaltations that is being done like by every single day, every single minute with the creatures of Allah, from like the birds to the trees and to everything. So the to finding the side. So if you find the side and find a peace and tranquility, then of course I'm just now looking at just the point that we just made a minute ago, just being a balance. So you're just like going to become in a peace with the environment, and you started like thinking about, of course, I mean, just your future, right? So the hereafter. And then like of course it just becomes like the importance then like becomes okay, so then my job is to invest in. So like now I am only created and sent to this to this world for trade. And that trade is, of course, now making sure and acknowledging and recognizing my time, that the time that has been bestowed upon us by Allah. So then that 24 hours becomes like so important. And then the importance of that 24 hours is just like now, how should I now invest in, right? So 8 hours to like my daily activities, 8 hours like for sleeping and whatnot. So then I got like it's been only just maybe 6 or 8 hours. So then like to think about, right? So like how am I going to just invest in? So then invest in. So then should I be mad and angry at every single thing that I planned, but that it didn't pan out? So should I be like mad at this the environment to the world or to everything that I'm surrounded with, or should I like find a peace, then accept the fact that just like yes, there is faith, and then of course I cannot fix anything that I want with my own hand. So then they're just going to try that just if anyone can easily go into this discussion by himself. And this existential kind of question is and again, finding it is maybe just like that intellect that is given to us, all these like members and organs that I again Allah might have bestowed upon me. So then what is the connection of me and to this world? And I believe like there is a great like a point that on the 25th word again, I guess that we mentioned maybe last week or something, that just one of those eloquence, eighth or ninth or something in the words. So about the that resemblance of that looking at the micro, I mean at the maybe just looking finding the relations of human being, right? And then just of course in the trees and what we can find out. And again, like in the Quran mentions, like yeah, find this, find like in how you are connected. So like just to this, of course, I mean the biggest, of course, in the Quran, which are our, of course, and then again, our environment. So then our job is, like we just said again, the micro. So now just get into like internally, find that peace like inside of us, and of course, when find the connection, that how can we find Allah, and how can we just invest in to this like and just been joining the forces, of course, I mean, to the like an angels to that like on the right hand side. I mean, in a meaning that just to the exaltation and praise of Allah and to recognizing to everything, so then we can just maybe protect ourselves collectively joining in into that like in a macro side of it, like maybe just that destruction side of it. So then like it's been inshallah maybe just even the environment or like it's all the world wouldn't get angry and mad at us, and so then we can just maybe preserve ourselves for the hereafter. Yeah, that's just for now, like this one, all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nazif Abi. That's great, really. And I'll just make a few comments. I think that just the summarizing what you are saying, maybe that we need to listen to Said Abi as well. Said Abi, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
The example introduction part is that gave an example for the nations or the qawims for the prophets, the Noah and Ad, Samud, and the earth and sea for Pharaoh. They faced the rage, the ghadab of the Allah in the past. And all the universe is against them. It does make a point like all the universe against because of their violence and disobedience, and also not only in this world, also in the hereafter. Using the laws, even the hell is going to be fury against them. I have a question here, like for the ordinary people, let's say misguided people, let's say they disobey in this old time and age, for example, they don't. Let's say this is it's not explained here. They will face with big punishment, with serious consequences. but in this world, if someone's misguided, like in the worldly sense, let's say, if someone's doing something unlawful and let's say criminal, they kind of know that what they are doing is wrong, and they feel it, and they know they take a risk. And they, at this in this worldly sense, they know in conscience, in nature, fitra, like simple criminal activities, let's say like assaulting someone or just burglary, stealing, or just violating the rules. Worldly sense, they feel that there will be consequences and they are taking risk. But when it comes to the violating the disobedience, Allah, and being ignorant and not seeing His manifestations, His reflections, His names, I think it's we people don't feel it that they are in the danger, they are taking risk, and there will be a punishment. How can we compromise this? Like, if I mean, I'm talking, of course, in the past, of course, they faced the consequence of the wrath of Allah with different way of elements of power of the universe. But what can we say about if someone's just like being lazy and not fulfilling their obligations, even including Muslim or just non-Muslim, they just living their life and continue as they believe, but they don't feel like they are. They seem like they don't seem like they are in like a taking risk or danger. Like is eventually they are going to face it. So first, this is my first point. How can we explain this point? Like, if this is really, which it is, we believe it's big crime, big violation. They are going to face it eventually. But they seem like they're like getting away with it. They seem like they are doing good, fine, apparently.
Great.
This is my actually first point. Yeah, and then I have
Let's just
another
answer
point
this,
after.
inshallah. Okay, that's great.
Sure.
And then the second, we will come back to that, your second part. Before I turn this floor to speakers, I just wanted to say not seeing is different than the denying. Denying is something that the cutting the relationship with Allah, subhanallah wa ta'ala. But the not seeing is that we may not see everything like in, that's why we always make dua that, Ya Rab, just elevate, increase our understanding and knowledge of Marifatullah, just your divine names. I think right now this is what I wanted to say. But Koli Nabi, I mean, I will turn the floor to you. What is the side what is your insight for the side questions?
Yeah, it's a very good question actually. But I was thinking about it as he was speaking, and one of the problems we have, whether people are conscious unbelievers or they are believers without thinking, without any particular consciousness of their unbelief, don't realize how far-reaching unbelief is and that it affects everyone and everything. And that is what makes it such a grievous transgression and misguidance. And if I can give you an example, excuse me, imagine a class of students who are preparing for their exams to go to university. And there is one boy in this class. Let's imagine it's a class of boys. There's one boy in the class who doesn't really want to be there. He's not interested. He disrupts the class. He's lazy. He doesn't do his homework. He's always trying to get other people into trouble. And then one day, the teacher asks him, "Well, what's your problem? What is exactly your problem?" And so the boy says, "Well, first of all, this school is a terrible school. It's rubbish. Everything you teach is rubbish. You are not a good teacher. People here are completely wasting their time. Why do they want to go to university anyway? I hate all of the ethos of this school. It doesn't interest me at all. All of your teachers here are idiots. They're all teaching things which are pointless. Um, And I just want to, show you that this is how I am. And if I have to be here, which I do have to be here, I'm just going to carry on acting like this because I think all of you are you're wasting your time so much over things which are unimportant. Now, can you imagine the reaction of the teachers to that? Can you imagine the reaction of all the other students who want to study but can't because they're being disrupted? Can you imagine the reaction of all the teachers in the school who've been told that their education counts for nothing? Can you imagine the reaction of parents who are worried that because of this boy, their sons who are also in the class may be influenced by his transgression and by his bad behavior? So the boy doesn't realize because he doesn't care, because he's ignorant, or because he's stubborn, that his transgression and his disbelief, because he doesn't believe the school is worthy, he doesn't believe in the subjects, he doesn't believe in the authority of the teachers, the expertise of the teachers, his disbelief and his expression of disbelief affects everyone in the school and outside the school. It affects the parents, families, and it touches everyone who's connected with the class. So I mean, it's quite a raw example and quite a simple example, but I think it shows you that we don't really realize what we're doing when we disbelieve. We are accusing the whole of creation of being meaningless. We're saying that it doesn't have any purpose. We're saying it didn't come from anything and it's not going to anything. It doesn't have an owner, it's an orphan, and that nothing really has any substantial meaning. It's exactly the same as the boy in the class example. He's affecting hundreds of people, um, but we are affecting the whole of creation when we disbelieve. I don't know
Great.
whether that answers Said's
So
question.
challenging authority is the consequences. Yeah, he's
Yes,
making clear that he's challenging the authority.
yeah, and completely traducing it and completely reducing it to nothing, and that is a huge transgression.
Thank you so much, Colin Abi. Yeah, okay. I wanted to turn the floor to Nazif Abi. Do you want to add anything, Nazif Abi, that to Said Abi's first part of the
Yeah,
questions?
yeah. As always, first of all, yeah, I'd like to add also only kind of maybe just a very short answer, but thank you so much, Saroj. Like always, man, coming with the difficult questions, and I really appreciate it. Just that's a really kind of great challenge. But while I was thinking about it, just what Colin Jam like I said immediately reminded me this small kind of like in a paragraph from 10th word when he says in the 10th word like it's meant because like, it was a great depiction, Colin Jam, by the way, just because you made me kind of imagine like it's in a classroom like it's just that where I go like and teach, and then a boy like standing up and just like telling everything. But exactly the same way at the beginning of 10th word, when Ustad was also giving a great kind of description of a conversation, and then his friend, he said to him, "What are you doing? You will be punished, and I will be dragged into misfortune along with you." So this is the paragraph that reminded me with your like a great example of just giving a boy like a standing and just against the authority and the teachers and instructors and all these and calling everyone idiot but himself. But again, it doesn't change the fact, right? So it doesn't change the fact that yes, I mean, nothing is gonna happen. And again, but what is like just so unfortunate in that discussion is that exactly like Ustad's like in a point. So like this boy, like it's been what he doesn't realize is that it's not going to change anything. Everyone around it actually is they do not agree with him. They're not even like saying anything to that word to that guy, or maybe they are not even like thinking about it exactly the same way, right? But again and again, so like what's happening is that like the destruction is going to start. So like especially with this one, so like because that boy is going to drag some people with him, or maybe even like it's been people like closest to him. And the idea is like yeah, I guess like when Sayyidujam was like saying like what even some of the believers, even some people who do not agree with this kind of behavior or maybe mentality, who's like when it disagrees with the ethos and all these just like whatever like is being taught, but they're going to be affected in a sense that So because like just slowly and gradually, every one of us, like in some way, like and maybe just not directly directly us, but like just from our family, relatives, and everything. Maybe just they are calling themselves like maybe religious or something. But then like it's been this type of kind of behavior, like the evil and everything, just basically gets into our way. So somehow like it's been keeping us away like from praising Allah and just joining in the universe's praise and exaltation and glorifying and somehow affecting our behavior, maybe just thinking, maybe our school of thought or anything that just comes to your mind because or maybe not even like it's in keeping our conscious clear enough that we can perfectly and just like submit to maybe these type of kind of like an activities like just reading Quran and joining in like in these Holocaust and praising him, right? So, but the reason is because like look at us, like it's when everyone is like, getting affected with this instant gratification and just losing their just everything like it's been their focus, right? And also like it's been just look at the just like the teachings of the other maybe left and the other side, right? And just going in and saying or agreeing with some of them maybe subconsciously or something, which is gradually just taking everyone away from their like in the right path. That's what I wanted to say, yes, just for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nazif Abi. Yeah, this is great. Said Abi, what is if you are okay with these answers, and if you have more questions, go ahead. But what is the second part of the?
Yes, I yes, yes. This is more broader framework comparing to the first one, uh, since it's not directly, but since it contains the wrath on the ghadab of Allah, and generally this triggers people like actually non-believers generally highlighting this. And this is they say, what can might me say for the people like they say. This is like I said. This is general. They claim religion is a is tool like used for to scare and to control the people. As a like I said, it's a broader framework as a whole as a religion. Of course, this point comes from probably the people's in the against the basic uh, issues about the religions. But what might we say just to handle or to address their point, like the religion is used to for the control, scare people, since our topic is of course the adab and adab of Allah, and then they will have a punishment and the consequences. We believe that. But is there a like short answer for that type of allegations? I'd like to hear if you have any.
Okay, thank you so much, Said Abi. Yeah, Colleen Abi, do you have any answer for this Said Abi second part of the questions?
Yeah, it's another great question. One of the things about Brother Said is his questions are always amazing, and not that easy to answer. Um, but first of all, if I tell my child, um, don't put your hand in the fire, otherwise you'll burn, am I trying to control him or her, or am I wanting what's best for him or her? If he puts his finger nearer to the flame, I'm going to stop him. I'm going to warn him, and I may even block the fire off so that he can't touch it. Is that for me to control him? No. It's because I love him and I don't want him to come to any harm. So these excuses that the unbelievers make, that religion is just a means of control, anything can be a means of control. Democracy is a means of control. The nation state system is a means of control. Every nation state on earth is built on the premise of violence. Because if you go against what the nation state stands for, if you go against the ethos of the nation state, you will be punished. Up until recently, if you acted as a traitor to the nation state, you would be executed. And so the whole nation state system is to control people. Education is also to control people. Secularism is also to control people, it's to divide and rule. Most governments are there to divide their own people and to control people. So it makes me laugh actually when unbelievers turn around and say, well, religion is just there to control people. No, religion is there to regulate their earthly lives and their eternal lives and to show them what happens if they transgress and they disobey. And this is what all earthly governments do as well. They threaten and they punish and they reward and they do all of the things which we see, have these patterns in creation, and which, in a sense, is a reflection of Sunnatullah. Sunnatullah, Allah, wa'du wa'id, he promises and he threatens, and we do exactly the same. But are we trying to control people when we do that? Yes. Is Allah trying to control us? No, because we have freedom of choice to disobey. But what He's trying to do is to save our eternal souls. He wants us to go to Jannah. It's not about control. He doesn't need to control us. He already controls us anyway. Now, I'm not saying that institutional religion is not sometimes used in a very negative way, but everything can be used in a negative way. Science is used in a negative way. So-called freedom is used. Freedom of conscience and freedom of action and all of these things are used in a negative way to control people. So, for example, a political example is, the freedom of the West, the democracy of the West, controls people by giving them excess, by giving them everything, by making them so free that they enslave themselves. Whereas in the communists, when it was the Cold War, in the communist East, they physically controlled, by guns and by, tanks and all of these things. And they control them also by keeping them in a very, very repressed state. So, these are the real currents and movements in human society that control other human beings. Islam, in its pure form, doesn't try to control people. It tries to show people the path between right and wrong and what happens if you transgress. That's not control, that's concern and divine attention and divine mercy.
Right. Thank you so much, Colin Abi. Yeah, this is a great explanation as well. Nazif Abi, you want to add anything, or just we wanted to share your insights as well for the second part?
Surely, yeah, sure, shortly. Again, as I said, yeah, Saidujam, perfect. Yeah, great questions and great, participation, like, seriously. And then always, of course, difficult questions. And again, I agree with what Konujam said about, like, especially if that's not control, it's concern. The reason is because that's the point of, that's the perspective of a believer. That's the perspective of a Risale Nur student to everything, of course, around us, like, happening. Because we don't see that this kind of, like, has been times, and of course, these type of course, like, sayings are just uttered by exactly like we just spoke, like, only just a minute ago about just some, like, a boy, like, standing up, like, saying, like, uttering these words, but then again, like, dragging a lot of people behind him and into these kind of darkness, and or maybe just a type kind of like, just now ditches. And I guess, like, just that religion is the kind of opium, kind of like a word. I'm not, if correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's just like the Karl Marx or someone else, like, saying, because of, like, it's been very just deliberately and saying of that, because it just, like, used for his kind of like in a way of thinking to, like, an utter. And of course, just now um, he's not only is, like, saying that, also is, like, just dedicated his book, I guess, to Darwin, because it is basically just a kind of like a big kind of game, but it's a different type of kind of a thought system and mechanism that is being used by, as like College are going to mention. So, like, it's been some people are using these to control kind of people, but in religion, as we just, like, going to mention, as we all believe as a believer, Allah Almighty is given, like, us like, not just two choices: either you believe or not. That's it. So, like, no one is actually, just none of us are, like, somehow trying to use religion as an opium, like, to control the flock of, like, people and masses, and to some sort of kind of have an ulterior motive. There is no way, like, because we're just only here only for a brief of time, and we have only just, like, a very, very, like, compared to, like, an infinity, this is almost kind of nothing. So just like, seriously thinking about like, this worldly life is just a worthless kind of like, just would be an investment trying to use like religion as an opinion. Because like, when I'm concerned about my hereafter, I'm concerned about like, my just like, my life in of course, I'm just in the other life. So, but then of course, if you live like in a collectively, if we do not care about each other, if you do not form these kind of like in a brotherhood, of course, there's going to be other kind of people with ulterior motive trying to use it against us. But then of course, it's not like we're not trying to like become a party or something like it's meant to stay. No, we just collectively with our like in a belief system, or just using our like just free of like in a will to choose to choose to believe Allah, right? And to choose to practice, to choose to and extol him, praise him is the only kind of life goal of us. So, but that would be just like my answer to those kind of people or questions. And I see that Konujam has something to say.
Yeah, thank you, Nazif abi. Yeah, that's
No,
great.
no
Colin
problem.
abi, go ahead, please.
Yeah, actually, Brother Nazif mentioning opium of the people. Religion is the opium of the people. Was it Engels or Marx? I can't remember. Maybe Marx. Maybe you're right.
Could be Marx. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, if we unpack the word religion, Marx was right because secular religions are the opium of the people. And what do I mean by
Mhm.
secular religions? Religion is something that you bind yourself to. If we look at the Latin origin of the word, um, it means to tie yourself or to bind yourself to something. In other words, something that you invest in, something that you bind yourself to as the aim of your life and the greatest good of your life. So there are many, many secular religions capitalism, socialism, communism, Maoism, Trotskyism, liberal democracy.
Yeah.
Um, all of these things are religions, and they are used as the opium of the people. They are used to divide people, to calm people down, to oppress people without actually the people understanding that they're being oppressed, to take away freedom from people. They really are objects of control. So I know that Marx was talking about divinely revealed religions, but they're not the only religions. Secularism is itself a religion, as is socialism, as is communism, as is many of these things.
Here, here, here.
And these are overtly and unashamedly used to control people. The whole freedom movement, the whole liberation movement, for example, in the 60s and the 70s, the sexual liberation movement, um, the youth movement, the counterculture movement, these are all religions, things which people tie themselves to and invest in, and they are used by the state and by the establishment and by Shaitan to control people. So Marx, strangely enough, on this point, he was right. The exception, of course, is the divinely revealed religions. We shall not dare um, to be the opium of the people. They are there to be the hope of the people. We
Absolutely.
could say
Absolutely.
hopium
Yeah.
rather than opium.
Yeah.
Great.
Here, here. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
thank you so much, Colin abi. Yeah, Nazif abi, you want to say anything?
No, actually, just it was really great. Like, I totally agree with him, and he was right. Like, it's Marx, and just of course, I'm now just using it, all these like kind of isms, and then for him, like, it's been actually it worked a lot. Because that's the moment that he published that Das Kapital, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And then he dedicated his book to Darwin, and then it was just of course, he was gonna call the religion like an opium, and just and maybe he was referring to like Konujam said, yes, maybe he was right, like kind of just broken clock, like it's been showing the time like twice like it's been correctly. Yeah, but then like is it like an hour just like an applied or the point that we're making? No, absolutely not. Like Olajam said, no, our just like in the job and everything is nothing, just actual kind of just praising and thanking Allah because that's what our duty is. One of the most important kind of duties is just to find him, to recognize him. And in religion, in that kind of case, yes, definitely, it's not opium, it's hopium, because that's what we are kind of believing in. That's what the direction that we are working on. Yeah. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. Yeah, Nazif abi. Said abi, that the answers is okay now. That makes sense, or do you have more questions regarding this part, or what? Yeah, the second part of your questions.
That was those all appreciate the wonderful explanations. I think this point, maybe the bad examples in the past.
You're breaking up, Said abi.
Sorry.
Okay, I think we lost Said abi. Hopefully that the
Now you hear
is
me?
yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I think intentionally or unintentional, knowing or unknowingly, they probably looking at the bad example in the history and just making this comment. Maybe they are generally, like most people do, confusing with the Middle Age problems in the scholastic Christians. In they are misusing the religions to control. Maybe they just put all religions in the same basket and just judge as a whole. That might be because they don't have particular problem with the Islam. And just like Colin Alba mentioned, actually, they actually worshiping or going after certain isms, actually. So they probably just affected. But again, can be intentional, intentionally. They have probably deeper issues, probably in the deep down to deal with. But this is maybe the surface. They just using excuse current politicians or in the past. They just don't want to face the reality. As human beings, they see human being as with no value. They don't respect actually see the value of the human being. They devalue the human. They see human as like less than animal. This is because this is the way it works for them. Because if they see the value of the human, they know it comes with the responsibility, which they are trying to avoid to take it. That might be we can keep on saying many things, but explanation as the points was why I really appreciate them. That they were amazing. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Colin Abi. That it's your turn. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Please.
I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but Saeed again raised something very important, that people who say these things are looking at the very bad examples that they see in history. And that's a very convenient scapegoat for them, because they can blame all religions just because of some bad examples that happened in the past. And it's a bit like saying, well, science is just there to kill people. And if you say why, they say, well, look at Hiroshima, look at Nagasaki. They dropped atom bombs and killed hundreds of thousands of people. So science is just there to kill people. If anyone said that, you would think that they were crazy. They're using examples of the misuse of science. Just as they are using examples of the misuse of religion in the past. No one would ever say, just because Hiroshima happened, science is there just to kill people. But they say it about religion because they're opposed to religion and they need to find a lazy excuse. I think that's all.
Thank you, Colin Abi. I think this is great explanation, and we learned a lot. We have 8 minutes, and then I'd like to continue at least the first couple of questions, and I'll read and then get the insights from the speakers. 12th indication. This consists of 4 questions and answers. First question: how can an infinite torment in an endless hell in return for limited sins in a limited life be justice? And the answer: it was understood clearly in the above indications, and particularly in the 11th, that unbelief and misguidance constitute an infinite crime and are transgressions against innumerable rights. This is the answer we can hear from the speakers. The second question is, It is said in Sharia that hell is punishment for actions, but paradise is a divine favor. What is the reason for this? I think I'll read that instead of just continue reading that, the second question, but I'd like to hear some insights from our speakers about the first questions. What would you like to share? And I'll start with the Kolinabi again. Kolinabi?
No, I'm going to give the floor to Nazif because this first question is extremely important, and I can't formulate an answer about it in just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to be I'm going to run away from the question. I'm going to give it to Nazif. I think he can probably do a much better job with it.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll do my best. Like, seriously, how can an infinite torment and endless hell? Yeah. Well, it looks like kind of just very maybe just injustice when you're reading it, and then of course I'm just thinking about it, and I've heard like from several kind of my maybe just un maybe non-Muslim or not practicing friends or not non followers of Islam or any religion for that matter, similar kind of questions and comments. Yes, like maybe from outside it looks like kind of injustice, but then the idea, of course, I'm just overall for all of us, it's a great kind of warning. And maybe we shouldn't like gonna see it as like an infinite kind of torment. Instead, like it's been taking a lesson out of this and try to correct ourselves. And then, of course, I'm just somehow form a great kind of life, like the ones that we just like gonna paint like just before about the just like thinking about like some just our overall kind of just role in this in this kind of world. So like why again like some three most important kind of question like who am I, like why did I come here, and what is my destination? So I guess like this question like maybe just somehow collect all of these like important kind of questions, all of it, and then maybe just try to like just maybe get a lesson and just try to learn it. So like just how like in my small kind of life, like just that again like just maybe we're a small being, but then like some just like our job is like kind of big, and then so we have a great kind of maybe test like maybe just put in front of us. So like so are we gonna follow it or not? Because if we do not follow it, so that means like it's a very kind of just risk kind of road and dangerous road, and then we have like it's been great danger of like joining in like with like bad kind of ideas and thought mechanism. So then, like I said, of course, I mean, just now to in order to justify the way of kind of thinking, the way of kind of just road that we are just path that we're taking has a danger of course, now just accepting a very kind of just dangerous kind of maybe just foundations. Those foundations are just like, starting with now denial, right? Rejecting like some just like now where do they come from? So then that's like the moment that just I guess again this 12th indication and the following indications are gonna be like just now explained to us one by one, and how it becomes like really kind of bad. But we have seen like it's maybe in our lifetime, of course, just tons of like an examples like is how even like small kind of like just now a very minute kind of just a poison. I'm not a chemist like but I believe like Hikmet Hocam like he knows way more than I do, and how just a minute kind of like has been just now a weight of some sort of kind of a chemical could easily poison tons of like some liters of or maybe gallons of maybe milk or something, and then it could easily be used as a weapon or something. So, but when you're thinking about like it's in that kind of way, yeah, it's just because it is very kind of small. And like the other example, just now, if you use science like to kill thousands or maybe millions of people, yeah, you can do it. It's a small action, maybe just pushing a button, but you can just say that, hey, I only pushed the button. I didn't do anything else. But again, it doesn't justify. So because like this destruction is huge, and it's not like kind of a limited kind of sense, but then of course I mean it just like it has a ripple effect for that matter. But the other side of it is also kind of like, and he explains in different kind of side of it. So like I mean because there is a while this test is like so dangerous, but it's also there's a huge kind of hope, and a great message is also kind of waiting for us, because if you make only just maybe go some like perform good deeds, they don't become like one, right? They also multiply, right? And then like in just like during Ramadan, during like some days like in a power at night and everything, they become like just thousands of folds and 10,000s of folds and maybe even millions. If you even like gonna help like just some a non-believer or maybe someone else like who's having a crisis or something, then it becomes like just just thousands of good deeds are waiting for us. So we're kind of like in between. So it's not just a kind of maybe a huge kind of heartless message or maybe threat that I don't see in this kind of question. Instead, it's just like basically just your professor like telling you that, hey, you know what, just be careful, you have to study, otherwise you're gonna fail. It's like that just use of kind of tone is like not just threatening the student or anyone else for that matter. It's just basically just conveying the message. So I think that's what I have, like at least in this limited time. So as maybe we can continue next week deeply in this 12th indication.
Inshallah, Nazif Abi, thank you so much. This is a great explanation
Welcome.
as well. We will continue, inshallah, for the next week, that starting from the first question again. And I will invite, if any Ariabi is there, or I want to look at that. Ali Chetin.
May I add some final thing, very short?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
After the Maghrib prayer, with the Maghrib prayer, we are entering the first 10 nights of Dhul. I mean, it's very important. The good deeds that are performed in the first 10 nights and days of Dhul. Nothing better than these good deeds. Only maybe the last nights of the Ramadan, he said. And the song, the fasting of those days is in the Tirmidhi hadith, he says like reward for a year long, or a reward for a 1 year song, a 1 year fast. So these days are really important for us. I mean, for making good things and returning to Allah, inshallah. I just wanted to remind you that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, Fajr, Ali Nashir. Inshallah. Yeah, well, thanks so much for reminding us. And Jazmabi, if you are there, that let's just make the dua, and then we'll close this week's halakha. If nobody's there, I'll just make the dua. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa akhiru an alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. اللهم لا تخرجنا من الدنيا إلا مع الشهادة والإيمان. اللهم زدنا علما وحلما. آمين آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين.